Well, Happy New Year. Good to have you with us on this Monday edition of Ed Schultz News and Commentary. This production brought to you by Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team. 2016 is going to be a great year for the Ed Schultz team. We are moving to Washington, D.C. This production will take place on Wednesday for the rest of the year, in Washington, D.C., starting on Wednesday. As you can tell, I'm pretty excited about it. There'll be an announcement about my future career plans coming up here in the next week or so. So I had to take a few days off, maybe a couple of weeks to add it up over the holidays to think about a few things, to get a breather. It's been a very interesting year, 2015. On the political front, it's really been an amazing year. If you go back to 1 year ago this day, early January 2015, and if you had said that Bernie Sanders was going to raise $73 million from 2.5 million people, you would have said no. I would have said no way. It is amazing. And it's really a lesson, as we never know what's going to happen in the political arena. We never know how attitudes are going to change or how emotions are going to be struck by people who want to make things happen in our system. And now Hillary Clinton, who was expected to just breeze through all of this, has got some very serious competition. She's outraising Bernie Sanders, but not with more people. And if the people show up, what happens in Iowa? What happens in New Hampshire? If Bernie Sanders wins the first two contests, is that truly a game changer? Will his fundraising even increase even more? What is it about this man from Vermont, the independent, who has caucused with the Democrats for years? What passion has he struck in the hearts of Americans and the minds of Americans that he truly is the change that we need? This is Sanders over the weekend.
I think that people are tired of establishment politics and establishment economics. And they are also tired of a corrupt campaign finance system and super PACs that allows billionaires to purchase elections. That's not what the American people want. And one of the manifestations of that is the kind of incredible fundraising that we've been doing in terms of small individual donations. We have 2.5 million small individual contributions to our campaign. That is more than any campaign in the history of the United States of America. And I think that speaks to the enthusiasm and support that we're getting at the grassroots.
And no one can argue with that. There's no question about it. The numbers are what they are as we are here in early January 2016. But what are the numbers going to be when it comes to turnouts, when it comes to caucusing in Iowa? And if Bernie doesn't show well in Iowa, where does that leave his campaign? For more on this, let's go to Katrina. Vanden, Heuvel, editor, part owner of the Nation magazine. Katrina, great to have you with us.
Happy New Year, Ed. And I just want to say we were honored at the Nation in our 2015 Progressive Honor Roll to count your podcast as the most valuable because of your powerful, pointed advocacy for working people in this country, for a progressive populist politics, which to segue naturally into is something, we're seeing Bernie Sanders is speaking for working people who have been told for too long that they're on the wrong side of history. He's speaking with integrity, with honesty about the challenges this country faces. He's telling people truths. And he's saying, take back your country from the billionaires. And I think what's happened, Ed, it is extraordinary if you look back a year. February 2014, the Nation launched something we called Project 45, and it was a commitment that this election would not be hijacked by high-powered strategists, well-heeled donors, and big media outlets more interested in cash than in a clash of ideas, which Bernie Sanders committed himself to by entering this race. Mm-hmm. And who knew? Let's take ourselves back then, as you said, Ed. It was going to be a coronation. So I think we're witnessing whatever happens. Can Bernie win? We could talk long and hard about it. But I think on some level, Bernie Sanders has already won. He has elevated issues that might not otherwise have been in this campaign: inequality, climate change, Medicare for all. These are issues he has worked his life for, and I think it's a moment to understand our system is so corroded, but that there's a vitality that is possible if people come forward, as Bernie Sanders likes to talk about, and try for, I might say, people-powered politics. He talks about a political revolution, but actually people seeing that change is possible is the beginning, however hardwired our system is against change.
Katrina, I'm honored that The Nation magazine thinks so much of my work, and I appreciate it very much. What a way to start 2016, as we've got some more exciting things on the horizon for the Ed team, and I appreciate it very much.
Great.
You know, the thing that's going to be interesting to watch about the Bernie campaign is that, okay, they've got these numbers, they've got these donors. Are they people that just want to see change, or are they people that want to work for change?
Yeah.
Are these folks going to really come out with heart and soul and determination in Iowa? And that's the first test.
Absolutely, Ed. I mean, first of all, let's also take a measure of the corporate media, which has for too long, as I like to say, policed the parameters of the possible in our politics, and it leads to a downsized politics of excluded alternatives. Millions of people met Bernie Sanders, and more important in some ways, met issues that he has lifted up, progressive populist issues that have not been given the attention they deserve in our corporate media. And he's done well despite, until recently, corporate media that wasn't very interested in him. Your listeners have probably seen the stats. I mean, he beats Trump in many of these polls, but Trump, got, according to the Tyndall report, a well-respected media report, he got 243 hours compared to 10 hours given to Bernie Sanders. That's a scandal. That shows how what Bernie Sanders has spoken of for a long time, how our corporate media is not doing this country, our democracy, a service. The debates. I understand Robert Reich has petitioned through Democracy for America, has petitioned the DNC to hold more debates. The next debate, Ed, I think it's a Sunday night. Am I crazy? It's a 3-day holiday weekend. There are football games up against it. I mean, this is not doing our country, people who care, a service. I do think it is a big question. We had a big story in one of the last issues of The Nation called A Renewal in Iowa, and it's all about, working-class voters turn out. Will they be drawn to Bernie Sanders' message? Or, to be honest, Trump's right-wing populism? I mean, there is a struggle underway. I think Bernie Sanders voters understand he's a serious candidate with serious solutions. He's not a fearmonger. I think there is far more hope, reality to the fact that thousands will get out there and work hard for him in caucuses, in the 1,600-plus, I think, precinct caucuses in Iowa, moving into New Hampshire.
Katrina, I just want to close with you by saying that a testimony about Bernie Sanders. You know that when I was doing cable, Bernie was on my show all the time. Mm-hmm. And you know that Bernie and I have been friends and allies for a long time in the fight for, health care and the fight for public education, equal rights, women's rights, worker rights, everything across the board. And now I'm associated with a super PAC, Americans for a Strong Middle Class. Bernie Sanders will not take my phone call. I mean, this is a man.
No, he's a rock-ribbed integrity. He's staying true. I think part of what you opened the show with, Ed, which is news of this last weekend, is the amount of money Bernie Sanders has raised. Yeah. But his campaign strategy is true to his commitment. He's funded his campaign with small donations, and he's not setting up these, quote, independent big money super PACs. All power to him. The integrity stands in stark contrast to many in our system. But
refreshing.
The big thing is we need, and I hope your good listeners' eyes won't glaze over it before 9:30 a.m. But we desperately need, small donor public financing to empower millions of people's voices in this country, so they too, at different levels, can run like a Bernie Sanders. Because there are people out there with integrity who are turned off and tuned out.
Good to have you with us, Katrina. Always a pleasure. You bet.
Thank you so
much. Bernie Sanders at a town hall meeting in Iowa says this about the outcome.
Let me tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody. I don't want to get Secretary Clinton nervous. I think we're going to win here in Iowa.